Today we've been joined by a very special individual. He has been the national tennis champion of Sri Lanka from year 2016 to 2019 for a period of 4 years. In addition to that, he clinched bronze medal at the 2016 South Asian Games in the singles men's event and also another bronze medal at the doubles men's event. He is none other than Sharmal Dissanayake. Thank you very much, Shamal, for accepting my invitation to feature on the show today.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
2016 to 2019, you have been the national tennis champion, and it's consecutively. You could have won the fifth one had you won the 105th national tennis championship. How hard did you work for it?
Well, to win a national title is always difficult because, basically you had to be the best in the country to win it. So, yeah, it is pretty tough, but for this 2016 to 19, my main goal was actually not to win nationals. It was not the thing in my head. My thing was actually to play for my country and be the best I could, and bring my nation to a level where it's respected in the whole world, not only just win the national title. So while I was working towards that, working hard towards that, I accomplished these titles as nationals and so on in the South Asian Games and etc. But my main goal was working hard so that I could compete with the world, with other countries and with other individual players. So along it, I clinched these titles, and yeah, like you said, I had to work really hard. As from juniors, from the age group of under 14, it was just a big toil, and I represented Sri Lanka in World Juniors, Junior Davis Cup and Davis Cup, so on, every age groups. And the first time I ever went out of the country to play international, like representing Sri Lanka, was actually this under 14 age group where they have it in Asia, zonal groups. First it was in, if my memory is correct, it was in Bangladesh. I was around 12 years old, and I qualified from there. I became the top 5 players in there, and then we went to the zonal 1 where we got to play against countries like China, Japan, Korea, etc. And to be honest, I got a beating. The first time when I went there, I got a beating, and then I got a medicine, to see what is tennis really like outside the world. And I knew that, to compete with them, I had to really work hard, because just winning in Sri Lanka will not prove that, I can compete out. Because then when I saw that, I went the following year, and again I won the zonal 2 and got promoted to the zonal 1. But still I got a really big beating there also. And then, it came to my mind, what I'm doing is not enough. Then later on, I had to focus and make my team, an individual team with my coaches. I had to have a specific physical trainer and so on, and I had to be very disciplined, and I worked hard. And when I was 14 again, I went to the zonal 2, which I won the tournament then in zonal 2, and then when I went to the zonal 1 in China, I came to the top 5 of the top Asian players. So I was top 5 in Asia, and with that I got to represent the team of Asia to Europe, which was in 5 weeks in many countries through Europe, like Germany, France, Netherlands, Belgium, like this. So that was actually the biggest experience for me when I was in a young junior, to see what is tennis. Because that was the first time where I went to Europe and experienced their level. And then I knew, what's need to be done to get to that level. So on process like that, I worked myself step by step, trying to compete the best I can.
So you spoke about you got a beating from all those players when you got to this zonal level in the world stage. What type of differences that you did see between yourself and those players there?
Well, first, physicality, and then mentality of the game, how they approach it, and how they really work hard. How is their working schedule, and what is meant to be, to be at that level. Because earlier, before that, I used to train 2 hours a day, or maybe hour a day, and half an hour talking, and not really focused on what I'm doing. But when I went there, to get to that level, I saw it's a job. It's basically your job. You need to play well. If you win, you earn. If you lose, you don't earn anything. So it's a job, and it's one of the toughest jobs in the world. So then I realized, you got to be very disciplined in your nutrition, and you got to train in the morning, in the evening, and sometimes you got to take care of your body. You got to go for repetitive like massages, physiotherapy, fitness, which plays a huge role. Every minor detail plays a huge role to make an athlete. An athlete is not just made in a day or two. Of course, there are players you have born talent and everything, but you need to work hard and develop it. It's no point you have plenty of potential if you cannot develop your potential. So the biggest thing I saw there is their work ethic and how much workload they put to get into that level. So the work ethic and the workload they put eventually makes you a stronger personality, a stronger athlete, and be able to compete with them, because you're much well prepared to compete with them. So preparation is very must. So what I learned from them a lot was the preparation going into a tournament and how much preparation I should do to compete with them. So this is the big difference I saw.
You spoke about the training regime. You said you train for about a couple of hours a day, and then the other athletes would be spending more time. You said about morning and the evening they train. What is that from a Sri Lankan perspective stopping you from basically get yourself trained from morning, evening, get yourself fully focused on tennis?
Well, first I did not know till I go out. I did not know what was happening. So if a person would have come and told me, I would say, I would just laugh and go away. And then when I saw it for my eyes, then I realized that you got to adjust. If you decide to play tennis, you're meant to do that. Then you got to adjust. You can have other commitments, but your main commitment should be tennis. So you got to work your schedule to play in the mornings and the evenings and train, and get your things done. Your things done as in like your nutrition, your fitness, your etc., your team, your finances, everything done. So it's your responsibility, because at the end of the day, you're the player who's going to play out there on the court. So you're alone. I mean, your team and everything is there, yes, but you're the player who's going to perform on court. So like I said, it's a job. You got to make it prioritized, and you got to make your schedule according to it. And one of the major reasons I would say for the juniors who cannot do that, one is kind of the education structure right now in Sri Lanka, because then when you come to the age of 16, you have this ordinary level, then you got this advanced level, which education has been a very big part in Sri Lanka culture, and the families and all, which now I know many players, even me personally, when it came to ordinary level, they completely stopped playing tennis for 6, 7, 8 months. That's a big period, because developing a player from the age of 14 to 18 is the most important vital time of a player to develop his physique, mentality, and skills and everything. So after you're 18, 19, you cannot develop much. I mean, of course you can develop your strength and all, but that major base should be done on the age of 14 to 18. So when it comes to ordinary levels or advanced levels, if the player has a break of 8, 9 months, you're basically going back to square one. You're going back to square one. So when you come back again, you got to spend another 1 year developing the process. Whereas all the other players in various other countries are already 2 steps ahead of you. So you're again starting 2 steps behind them. So this is one of the major reasons. I don't know, the sports ministry or the association and the education ministry, or these guys can talk and have a few exceptional cases for few exceptional athletes, because like I said before, I mentioned we don't have many athletes like in Europe or US or even India or China, Japan. We have like 10, 15 like this. So make some exception cases. Okay, you can do homeschooling, or some exams separately, or something different where they can adjust, and where they have come to a situation where they have to quit the sport to go for examinations. Now these things have to be worked out in a higher level.
You spoke about the training regime compared to yourself and the players who are playing abroad. What would be their schedule will be like, in the morning what they do? And
I was in Germany from 2014. I went there 2012 as well. 2014 was the time. Before that, I was training under a coach named Ashutosh Singh from India. So I was full-time playing tennis then. Then I used to train in Sri Lanka from morning 8:30 to 10:30, and then I would have in between a physical session around 1 o'clock. Then I used to play tennis again from 3:30 to 5:30, 6 o'clock till it's dark. And then I would of course have 1 hour of recovery, I mean stretching or massage or physiotherapy and etc. So this is kind of the thing schedule which went same when I went to Germany. So normally you wake up 7:30 in the morning and you train for 2 hours tennis, then you do your fitness for 1 hour, have your lunch, you rest, recover, you get ready for the evening session, you play another 2.5 hours of tennis, then you do a physical session, then again you stay hydrated, because you got to look after yourself, because your coach will tell you, but you're the person who has to look after yourself, be hydrated, have your proper nutrition, etc. Because if you don't, you're just going to melt down some point. Your body is going to cramp down because the workload is so much. I mean, it has even happened to me. So like sometimes, I think it's sometimes I think okay, drinking this 1-2 liters of water, if I miss it, it's okay. But then later on I felt it. I did not have this 1-2 liter of water. That's why I'm feeling a niggle here, feeling a niggle there in my body. So that's the main thing. A player has to really look after their body, because their physique is very important. If you're strong physically, you can do many things and prepare yourself. So like that, normally training is about 4 hours of tennis and about 1.5 hours of physical, and then you get about 1 hour of physiotherapy and recovery. So this is normally a tennis person's life. I mean, he cannot do anything else after doing that. So basically 7 hours of the day is done, and then you sleep, and then you eat, and then you're done.
And then you get up again, then you play
get
tennis.
up again and you repeat it.
Talking about the team perspective, you said you need to have a team. Who would be the members of your team then? The coach, yourself, and the...
Very important is your coach. Of course, your family is very important. You need to have your family support no matter what. But luckily for me, my parents supported me a lot from day one, and I'm actually blessed for that. Then number one is coach. Your coach, you got to know your coach. You got to have trust and faith in your coach, because like I said, it's a process and all. You might lose your first 5-6 matches, but later on it's a development. Later on you will see the results. But yes, your coach is very important. It's a personal choice. Your coach can be anyone. Then your physical trainer is very important. These two people plays the biggest role, because if your coach is going to teach you your tennis and tactics and everything and develop your strengths and weakness, your physical trainer is going to keep you mentally and physically ready to compete. So these two are very important. And later on, when you start going a level up and up and up, you can have your sponsors, your managers, your association, and everything. Especially in a country like Sri Lanka, your association needs to play a big role in your team. They have to give you that back support, that assurance that okay, you guys go ahead, we look after you guys no matter what, you guys go ahead, and we have your back. So that assurance should be provided from a higher body, can be the association or the ministry or like this. So then the coach has no stress, player has no stress, player's family has no stress, and they can work towards a goal, knowing that if something happens, we have the support of the ministry or the association. So they will not leave it back, because right now when you go, you will like, okay, what if I lose this tournament? What if I don't perform? Will I get another chance? Will I be able to play again? So these doubts should not creep in.
I think insecurity is one of the major topics of discussion. Talking about the support that the athletes require from the authorities, say Sri Lanka Tennis Association or maybe Ministry of Sports. National Sports Council has been established by the Ministry of Sports recently, the month of August, and they have put forward certain plans as well. Talking from on a fundings perspective, you said you got yourself trained in Germany, and I'm sure that was self-funded. Is that right?
That's correct.
And let's assume that if all the support is been given to the athletes, the potential athletes in Sri Lanka, tennis players, do you think the current crop of players in the Sri Lanka tennis fraternity can get to the next level and perform?
Well, definitely, because like I said, the juniors have plenty of talent. Sri Lanka is a country which is blessed with a lot of talent in any sport, not only tennis. It's about managing them, managing the players correctly. And like I said, if you have a lot of potential, it doesn't matter if you can't manage it properly and take the real result out of it. So, like I said, juniors have plenty of talent. Like our junior teams, if you take back to history, has competed against India, Australia, Japan, and we had defeated them. It's not like compete, we have defeated them. So that shows our talent in our juniors. Like you take the early 2000s or like 2005, 6, 7, 8, we have plenty of juniors. I mean, we had juniors like 20, 30 juniors, like almost in the same level. Competition was very high, local competition was very high. So management of junior players and talent is the biggest lack right now in Sri Lanka. And I don't think it's only for tennis, but it's for a lot of sports. So lack of management of these players is costing their potential and talent.
And tennis is an expensive sport in Sri Lanka, maybe, even if it's considered from a world perspective, tennis is an expensive sport. And National Sports Council was appointed by a minister who had played rugby, and he was involved in sports as well. If you ever meet the Minister of Sports and if he asks you a question about how we can get this particular sport next level and who are the crop of players that we should focus in order for them to get to the next level, that's the first two questions. Third one is, in case if he comes and asks that whether knowledge-wise the people who are governing and the people who need to sponsor, do they have the right knowledge in terms of getting tennis to the next level?
Well, first I would explain the sports minister or whoever asked me the question. It cannot not be the minister also. I would explain what it takes to make an athlete. I'm pretty sure that our sports minister also knows it very well, what it takes. And then
let's talk from a tennis perspective.
Yeah, then I would come to a perspective, how do you create a tennis athlete? Like how can you develop him? What needs to be done? What needs to be done in the perspective of an association or a sport in body? Because right now I said many players will have some funding problems and all, because a country like Sri Lanka, we do not have many international events. We hardly have, because I remember must be 3 events, like I'm talking about men's or then juniors, like international events. So to go to the next level, you need to at least minimum play 18 weeks of tournaments, 18. So for each tournament, we have to travel abroad. It's basic, simply. We have to travel abroad for tournaments. And for that, we need, one of the worst thing is visa, getting a visa to travel abroad. So we need support for visas. We need support for funding, like things like air travel, nutrition, and maybe even for coaching in situations. Maybe for things like, the player is there for his hospitality. It doesn't need to be literally, okay, you call the player, I hand you, okay, here you get 1 million, you do what you need to do. No, they got to manage the player. They got to track him down. What are you doing? Every day track him. What's your plan? What's your weekly plan? How is it going to do? Talk with their coaches. What is his 6-month plan? What is his target? What is his goal? How do we work towards it? What needs to be done? You make a budget. How much will it cost? And these things, of course, the higher authority people should know how the player should be developed and managed. And it's a very important thing where the higher authorities know the education of the sport, because every sport is different. So they need to know about the sport. I mean, this doesn't mean that they have to play the sport, but they can get to know about the sport, how they develop, they see things, and they can manage the player. Very important is managing talent, which is lacking in Sri Lanka. And this is one of the key areas I would point out. So the athletes, to get into the next level, we first have to provide an opportunity. If you don't provide an opportunity, you do not know whether the athlete can go to that next level. To go to that next level only, like I said, the player needs to train 40 weeks. It's simple as that. 42 weeks, competitive training. And out of that 42 weeks, you need to play 18 to 20 tournaments. It's simple as that. That's the story. So how do you work towards that? That is the solution we need to find. We need to find little solutions, little aspects from where we can draw in support. Like I said now, like in India, you get Virat Kohli, the great cricketer. I mean, he has a foundation. He sponsors these athletes. So like that, these foundations can come and support athletes. Maybe the private sector, like Indian Oil Corp is sponsoring many athletes, tennis players and all in India. like that private sector can chip in. I mean, of course, private sector can chip in, and they can have an agreement with their players, like so on, so on. If you all go like this, we get a percentage of your prize money, or you promotion like this, or you have to travel minimum of this many times, or you have to be minimum this many times of our press conference, and so on like this. You can have agreements and solutions with the player. So like I said again from the beginning, a team is very important, and unity is very important in Sri Lanka, because Sri Lanka, like I said, cricket, rugby, tennis, so on, you say 1,000 athletes in total. If these 1,000 athletes are not united, we cannot do it. It will be very tough. So we got to a company, like a basketball player comes and tells me something, okay, I try something to help him out. Okay, we go say to cricketer, like, okay, we are facing these problems, the cricketers help us out. So like this, it's very important to have the athletes united.
So you spoke about the sponsors coming forward and sponsoring all of these athletes. Do you think many of the sponsors do not have the proper understanding about
Yes.
developing an athlete?
Yes,
Is that a
it's
concern?
one of the biggest problems.
Let's talk about, if it's cricket, it's a clear understanding about where we are right now and where we can get to the next level. They have a clear understanding about our stage. Even a person who is just watching a cricket match is a critic about what Sri Lanka should do. But the sponsors, the people who has the potential of sponsoring these athletes, do you think that they don't have that understanding?
Correct. That is, I completely agree with you in that. I feel many people in the higher up, even the authorities, do not know what's happening. They do not know what is really tennis, or not what is really tennis, as in like they know how to play, like score, and I'm not talking about this stuff. They do not know what's the potential, what is it like, because tennis is the second largest global sport after football. It's played, I think, 160 odd countries are playing tennis. So how much reputation we can bring to the country is so much higher, and how much foreign people we can attract to our country, foreign recognition. It's many things. Like now, when I go to a player tournament in Europe, or even in Asia, I go to play. They ask where are you from? I say Sri Lanka. They don't even know where is Sri Lanka in the map. They literally don't even know there's a country called Sri Lanka. So then I got to call them, and then I show them Sri Lanka is under India, and they think it's India. Then I was like, no, it's not India. It's Sri Lanka. So like this, many players go to various countries, and this actually can bring in many things to Sri Lanka. They can attract many people. We can even attract tourists. In a way, it can be such a big project, and such a futuristic project where you can build on to generations and generations. Like when a player represents your country in Olympics, it's a major recognition. Everyone would know it. So that, I really agree with your point. The people do not really know the potential of the sport, or where they can really tap in, or even you say the corporates, they do not understand like which markets they can tap in, because like basically the player would travel to Europe, or to US, or to South America, or to Australia. So they can have one of their brand ambassadors tapping in a South American market, which they haven't even imagined before. Corporates do not identify the potential where they can tap into the markets. Like example, like I said, was we went to South America. So it can be a corporate which wants to tap into a South American market for something. They could have just easily taken their brand name or brand logo to a South American market, which they would have not even imagined they could have touched. Because since it's a global sport, they have accessibility to the whole global market. So I think like that, people should be educated and approached more in a complex way, where they understand the opportunities and build them the opportunities to show them where can they really be.
You won the National Tennis Championship from 2016 to 2019, and you got yourself trained in Germany as well, and everything was self-funded. Are you satisfied with your achievements up until this point of time?
So yeah, to be honest, I'm not satisfied. I'm actually a bit disappointed as well, because I knew my potential, and I knew I could have done something much more, as in like not only for myself but my country as well. So My honest answer will be no, I'm not satisfied. I could have done much more, but yeah, it's what it is, I guess. And I still have love for the sport and everything, and I don't mind if I get another opportunity, I would grab it from both my hands and I would try my best.
What is that opportunity that you're expecting? Can you elaborate a bit more?
Well, the opportunity is like if I can see a clear path, like I have like kind of a job security, if you would say, I would say that, or like a clear path that people are backing up, the association is backing up, and I have the trust and faith in them, and I can approach and go do everything. I would give it a shot. I would give it a shot, and if I have the ministry or everyone on my back, like saying, okay, Shamal, you go play, we will look after the funding, or not only funding, we will look after your traveling or training expenses. You go and do your job. I would, happily go and do it, because I still feel I still have a good 5-6 years in me, but it comes to a point where you got to survive as well. You need to know where you're heading. So I cannot go in a blind face in a dark room alley alone, like walking, knowing where I will end up. So yeah, that's the view. So let's see. We'll hope for the best.
You have the potential for you to kind of perform at the world stage if an opportunity is provided, you think?
Well, I mean, for the juniors, I was in the top 200 in the world, and in the men's, where I was starting to get a groove, I can't remember the exact number, but 1,200 odd. Well, I had the confidence. I knew the level and everything, and I can't guarantee I'll be top 100 in the world, but definitely I would give my best, and I would, I had the confidence I would be somewhere in the top. Maybe it's not top 100, or it can be 500 or something, but definitely I thought I could compete, because I competed with many players in the top 300 level, the top 200, etc. And when I was training, I used to train with a couple of top 100 level players as well. So I knew the level, we knew what's happening, and we know what needs to be done to get there.
You spoke about your parents, your family supported you a lot. They were result-oriented people?
No. Well, luckily for me, I'm blessed because my parents are not result-oriented at all. Number one is my dad is always focused whether am I eating well or not. That's one of his main concern. He always gives me a call, and after the match, he says, "Did you get something to eat?" Something like that. My mom was very supportive. She used to come to every single match in Sri Lanka. Sometimes if she has the opportunity, she comes abroad as well and support me throughout the way. And yeah, without their support, actually, I would not even have this. So I'm really blessed to have my parents there, and they never gave me a pressure. They always just said, try my best, go out there, try my best. Win or lose, it's not in our control. Try my best. When you come out of the court, you should know that you gave your best, and you did not regret it, did not regret that match. So that's the biggest confidence they ever give me.
What is your biggest achievement thus far, Shama?
It's very tough, because I mean, all the achievements are special, but I would say winning the 4 nationals is also special, but winning every single match in a Davis Cup tie, because it's represented my country and team, which I won singles, doubles in group 2s and 3s. Every single match, I would say, is a big achievement, and every single match I won in the futures level or in the junior level is a big achievement. And yeah, so every match I win I take a lot of pride into it, and so yeah.
You're 26 at this point.
No, I'm 24. You're making me a bit older as well. So,
Shamal, you're 24 now.
Yeah, I'm turning 25 this year.
So you said you have another 4-5 years left in you.
I think I can play till I'm about 30, I would say, easily.
Now you've been engaged in the sport of tennis in this particular area, Sri Lanka Tennis Association, for the past 8-10 years?
No, not more than that. I would say 15 years. 16 years, yeah, because I've been representing the country in junior level since the age of 11, 12.
So altogether, you must have seen a lot of good players competing at this particular venue. Who do you consider as the greatest tennis player that Sri Lanka has ever produced?
That's a very tough question. I mean, I could say there's plenty of juniors, like very well. I mean, I would say Harshana. I mean, Harshana even now is playing well. Harshana, if you take earlier times, Arjun, has apparently done very well, but I have never seen him playing for real. But as of my eyes, like players like Harshana, Osher, the Franklin, and even there was players like Rukmal and so on. There's number of players. I just the name is not coming to my head. So I have seen many of them, and many who played in that level. Actually, that's a good point you brought out. Since I saw that level in juniors in Sri Lanka, I used to play with them, because yes, I lose badly and everything, but I used to train with them, play with them. So I automatically got into that intensity. I had that accessibility because that level of players were there, which is lacking right now in our country. We do not have that level of juniors in our country now. So that's a very big point we need to work on.
I'm sure you put in a lot of hard work when it comes to tennis, Shamal. And what about academics? How did you balance academics and tennis?
Well, again, academics, my parents were not result oriented, as you know before. So honestly, my dad did not matter what I get academic. As long as I pass my exam, he's happy. He did not want an A+ or an island rank. So yeah, academic, I used to, like I said, you're that individual, you got to manage your schedule. So every day, I'm not a big studying person or a big, book fan, I would say. I'm not a book fan. So I'm a guy who likes to go outdoors, okay, if you call me, give me a call, come, let's play some cricket or something, I would, don't think twice, I would just come straight away. But if you say, come, let's go to the library, read some book and study, I was like, no way, I'm coming. So I'm that sort of a guy. So, in education, actually for education, tennis helped me a lot.
Did it impact you that, your dad telling you, look, I'm happy as long as you pass or get through the exams?
Yeah,
no pressure.
No pressure, yeah, exactly, no pressure. And one of the main things I would say is, like, parents should understand that in tennis or in other sports, there are things which you cannot learn in a classroom. There are so many things, and which those things you learn will be so helpful for you in the exam. So helpful. I would say many exams I passed because of tennis. Because tennis is a thinking sport. You got to think. It's everyone's fit and can play. You got to think your tactics, your strengths, your weaknesses. You got to handle the pressure, the mentality. It's a lot of stress. Playing a match is a lot of stress. There's a lot of hope on your shoulders and everything. So if you can manage that well, write in a 2-hour exam paper or 3-hour exam paper, I'm pretty sure you can manage that well as well, that pressure as well. So that's why you see a lot of athletes actually do well. The educations, they do well. Even you see the higher corporates right now, you get many athletes who have done it, because sports actually helps you a lot, which you cannot learn in a classroom, and that's a proven fact.
Who do you enjoy talking about tennis with the most? Who do you enjoy?
Well, I enjoy talking tennis with everyone. If everyone asks, I try my fullest best to help them, and fullest best to give my knowledge, whatever I have to them, like whatever I know, I try to give them. Like even with you, like this conversation we're having now, I completely enjoy it, talking about it. I fully enjoy a person, who doesn't know about tennis and comes and asks me, what is tennis, what is this, I take my time and I like to slowly example. So there is no real favorite person who I like to talk with everyone about tennis. It doesn't matter who it is.
Talking about your parents, now you are 24 right now, and your dad or the parents did not kind of, bother much about you getting high ranks in your examinations. Were you successful after, in terms of your corporate jobs or whatever that you're doing?
Because I successfully passed. Actually, the results came better than I accepted in my academic stuff. So I'm actually having a postgraduate degree right now. I would have been graduated because of this COVID. It got extended, but this year I would most probably get graduated as well. So yeah, I would, in that point of view, I would actually have no regrets or anything, because like I said, many people can take the wrong idea from this, or many people can misinterpret it, but I always say an exam paper or a 2-hour paper cannot decide your life. You cannot put your life bounded to that examination or whatever, because many people have critics on me on that, but that's what I feel. I feel many successful even entrepreneurs do not have this big qualifications. It's a matter of how you approach and how you can adapt. I think adaptation is the most important. More than an exam paper, you may be having straight A's. Even you have straight A's, if you cannot adapt, it doesn't matter. If you cannot get the job done, it doesn't matter you have straight A's or you're island number one. So that's what I say. Things like sports or things which you experience elsewhere is a thing which you cannot learn in a classroom. Of course, academics is important. I'm not saying it's not important, but it cannot decide your life or your end goal. That is my key.
Talking about the personalities that you would have followed growing up as a tennis player, who did you follow the most?
Well, as for tennis players, I mean Federer, Nadal, Djokovic, these guys really were a big inspiration for me. And the way they work, I mean, not only for me, I'm pretty sure for a lot of people. And I mean, my parents were a big role model for me. I mean, I draw a lot of inspiration looking at them. And just these people, because I mean, for me to get inspired, I did not go to a far place because I had it in my own house, or it was very close to me. So this is, I think, one of the very main important things I had, because they would always, no matter what, have my back and support me. So yeah, inspiration was in my house mostly.
What's your favorite sporting memory?
Favorite sporting memory? I mean, you mean like me playing tennis or? Well, yeah, favorite sporting memory is, I think, qualifying from Group 3 to 2 in Sri Lanka, because Davis Cup, because it was a hectic week. We had a very hectic preparation. We had to play about 3-4 weeks of tournaments prior to it. We prepared well, and everything went so smoothly, and we got the desired result, and it just ended very well. I mean, of course, all the other ties in Group 2, which we won and which we competed like with Thailand and all, which we came really close, nail biting, and which we couldn't convert, also are very big memories to me as well.
Do you have any regrets, Shamal, in life?
Well, yeah, I would say the biggest regret is if I could understand, what should be done a bit more earlier, and if I could take my opportunity a bit more serious, I would say, when I was younger. If I could take it, and if I could just identify myself, because a lot of people were saying my potential and talent, but it took a bit of time to me to realize my potential and talent. If I could realize this a bit earlier, I think I could have done a few things a bit different. This is one of the regrets I have, but other than that, I have no regret, because other than that, I knew I worked myself hard and gave it all on a court.
Who are the people who helped you out along your journey, Shamal?
Well, I started tennis when I lifted my racket. My first coach was Kingsley Kandappa. He played a major role. I mean, he only taught me the basics. So he's unfortunately not with us anymore. He passed away. Then, of course, I had many coaches with me. Then I got to say Vijay Kant to help me coach, and then Sylvester Francis, who's helping me even right now in Sri Lanka in coaching, and then of course my coach in India, Ashutosh Singh, and then my coach in Germany, Mariano Delfino, which played big roles in my career. And of course I cannot forget my fitness trainer, two trainers I had in Sri Lanka. When I was young, I had a trainer named Ranil Harshana. He also helped me a lot when I was young for my conditioning. And then later on, I had another coach named Mahesh. He helped me a lot, and he actually disciplined me a lot. So yeah, I mean, these people played the biggest role in my career and really, helped me a lot.
Thank you very much, Shamal, for accepting my invitation to feature on the show. I hope that the second chance that you were expecting in terms of tennis comes on your way very soon, and we see you back on the courts and then bring glory to our Mother Nation. Thank you very much one more time.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for getting me here, and hopefully, let's hope for the best.
From that, we bring to a close this edition of the Sports Center on TV1. Until next week, it's goodbye from all of us here.